Hello everyone and welcome back to the Emperor BTC channel. Today's video is another market update video. We'll be going through the recent BTC price action and taking a look at where it might head next. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So we spent a long time in this tight-knit consolidation as we've covered numerous occasions on the channel, and finally we broke down into our key confluence zone, which is essentially just multiple levels or variables stacked on top of each other, which gives potentially a higher probability of the level holding, which is this range over here. And then you can also see that this black line is the higher time frame range high. And then also in that area, we have this key SNR level, which is just essentially this previous resistance. So once we broke through it, the theory is when we return previous resistance as price has a memory, when we return to the level, it's potential that we may see a flip from resistance into support. And then also, although we have not tagged it yet, we had the naked point control as well in and around that level. And then again on top we have these low volume nodes, which is essentially just an area where very little volume occurred, likely because price moved too quickly through the level. So again, you can see in this instance we had these big green candles, very one-sided market, buy orders, not much selling, which leads to this low volume node you can see here. So we also came in and filled in a lot of this. As you can see, this range here is where a lot of the volume occurred. So if we drop down to the 1 hour time frame, it makes it easier to see. We had this zone here, which was acting as a support zone, and also we had the value area low in and around this level. It's basically just an area where price was continuously finding support. We deviated through it slightly here, sweeping the range low, and then of course we have a similar type level just overhead, where you can see it acted as resistance on numerous occasions. So we expect, of course, when price returns there, we may see a similar type of reaction from price. You can see we broke down through the level. We then got this bearish retest. We broke down, tagged the level. This is where our longs got filled at that 112k level, and then we started to push up until we reached this naked point of control. So I made a tweet highlighting that when we bounced, that this area would be the first real trouble zone, just purely based on, again, confluence. You have this naked point of control, which tends to act as a magnet for price. Price is drawn into it. And then on top of that, you had this heavy SNR level. So again, same concept as below here. You have support, you have support, you have support, you have support, and then upon return, price again has a memory. It remembers these levels. So when we get back in around that level, you can see that we find resistance again paired with the confluence of the naked point control, and you can see that there's been a slight shift in around this level, which is not necessarily anything to be overly bearish about, but absolutely cautious about. So as of the moment, on the bullish side of the order flow, we are very much being influenced by the left-hand side of the chart. And what I mean by that is that if we look at each consolidation, again, another concept from the video I covered on market auction theory, you can see that these ranges and consolidations, they act as a memory for price. So in this instance, you can see that if we extend it across, that there is an element of acceptance that we found when we broke back up into it, and then again resistance in around the range high, similar position to where we found resistance there, and then again we've been finding support, and just now we've broken through. But really, one of the key things as of the moment is that we really want to see this zone hold. I wouldn't be a big fan if we got down here and maybe we have early longs and we can be included in that. I just haven't got any tight stop losses or stop losses below these lows. We may get down in here and take them out and maybe even take the naked point of control. Again, I think that would be another clear and obvious long, because you're pairing the SFP with this SNR level, which is a very key level, and then again you have the naked point of control where it's really nice to get in. And also, just another thing worth noting on the lower time frame, I know there's a lot of people here that would like to be scalpers and they're very enthusiastic about scalping and all that. And if you see, when we get into our key level, that we get the initial reaction off the level, we get a slow grind, we get this sharp dump down in, we just kind of wick out any of the early longers who have tight stop losses and high leverage, drop down, take them out, and then you can see that the order flow from there gives multiple opportunities to get in, and that the previous higher highs on the move up acted as support on multiple occasions. Even into the naked point of control, you can see that there was a lot of long opportunities. So if you're a scalp trader, the idea is that you could wait for price to reach your level, and when you see a clear willingness to respect the level, and then on the 15-minute time frame or lower, you start to see bullish order flow. So you're seeing higher highs, and then higher lows, and then higher highs, and then we move back down, and the previous higher high acts as support, and then you can see a scenario like this. And price can be very forgiving when you're patient, and it will sometimes give you these nice little scalp entries. So just for an example, on let's say this instance here, you've missed out on 1 entry, 2 entry, 3 entry, and now you are being offered a 4 opportunity, where let's say I even just make the chart look a little bit sexier for this example. You have resistance in this zone. You can see higher high, found a little bit more resistance there, a little bit more resistance there, broke through, extend across, multiple levels respecting. And even if you said I'm going to long here, and you're going to have a wide, conservative enough stop loss, so you're going to put it below this low, and then your target being the naked point of control, there's still 1.6% made on this short trade, which in reality played out quite quickly. Example of that, price pushes up, and then there's a clear, obvious area in and around here where we found resistance, somewhat resistance, came back down, kind of got inside it, more resistance, big push, drop down, and I'm sure there is a 618 level in and around here. Yeah, so you have your 618 level paired with this kind of lower time frame SNR level. And then again, you would just have a similar philosophy where you're going to enter the trade at that 618 level paired with the confluence of this key SNR level. And again, then you can just apply the same logic as the trades we had previously. You have the 618 level paired with this lower time frame SNR level. You enter the trade, and then your target is to say just beyond this high. And again, that's 1.5% on that trade, and I'm sure it was hit take profits in within an hour or so. So again, as of the moment, I'm not really concerned about the recent price action. I've got in at a nice entry right on that 112k button. Again, it's just another confluence. Big round numbers, they tend to hold because they're just simple round numbers. You know, psychologically, people will just bid a round number. And as of the moment, we've just taken this negative point of control, which was from Saturday. And again, in confluence, you have this whole zone here. If you look at this from a higher time frame perspective, like on the 4 hour, this kind of zone here, you really want to see this hold. Again, I know there's a scenario here where maybe we come back down and we're not able to break back up here now on this occasion, and we come down and maybe we really flush out all early longs. Again, I have a wide enough stop on this instance. If I'm going to be wrong, I'm pretty sure I'll be wrong on the whole thesis of the cycle continuing. I think if we lose 112k and drop back down into the higher time frame range, you then have to reassess the whole kind of bias, and maybe we start to see us return to the mid-range and then maybe the lower end of the higher time frame range, which we can cover in another video. But as of the moment, what you really want to see is this negative point of control paired with this higher time frame demand zone, which you can see here. You really want to see this level hold and see if we can get back towards this level. I think this is going to be serious resistance again now, because you have this Monday high paired with this really strong key SNR level, which is overhead. So I'm expecting major resistance when we get there. But if we do get through it and we are able to get acceptance, I think there's a clear and obvious run to this negative point of control, and then beyond to the next real resistance zone. So to summarize today's market update video, the current real trading plan is again a theme that we've been going over continuously this bull cycle, or the last couple of months, whatever way you want to look at it, is that we do have ranges. We then tend to find a deviation outside the range of either one end of the range extreme or the opposing. So whether it's the range low or the range high, we tend to see deviation outside and then an acceptance back inside the range, and then we move from one deviation to the next. The reason why I remain so bullish is because I believe there's way more to gain if BTC decides to continue to run now, because alts are starting to look lively again. And I believe that if BTC continues on its run, alts become a self-fulfilling prophecy, where people who say missed out on the Ethereum run in the last kind of leg up, they will then be more inclined to look to enter longs again if BTC gets a nice run, which then pumps Ethereum's price, which then helps all other alts in that trickle down effect, which happens so often in crypto. So I think the upside trajectory of the crypto market as a whole at the moment actually looks good if BTC is able to continue on its run here, because it feels like market participants are starting to become more willing to put their money where their mouth is. Another thing worth noting is that recently the DXY has had a bearish underside retest and looks like it might be heading towards lows again, which generally speaking, is bullish for BTC. And before we wrap up today's video, I just want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of the channel, Bybit. If you sign up using the link in the description, you get up to $600 in bonuses. So as a final recap for today's market update video on BTC, just want to leave on the idea that we want to see price get back up towards this level and then really see what happens. Do we get a rejection, or do we find some resistance but are able to succumb it and get back inside the range? I think if we get back inside the range, I think range highs will be inevitable. So if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. On Thursday, I'll be inclined to do more of a run through on altcoins, so please feel free to leave suggestions below on coins you think might be worth checking out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.